Azerbaijan is a historical motherland of Turks. From the time immemorial and from the time of the great Sumerian Empire, Turks were the inhabitants of Azerbaijan. Throughout the known human history, Turkish had been and is the official language of the region. In the last 80 years, and after the collapse of Turkish Qajar Empire, Persian racists brought to power Riza Shah by means of military coup d'etat and forced Persification of Azerbaijan. With the popular uprising of South Azerbaijani people and creation of independent and democratic government in 1945, occupying Persian forces were pushed out of South Azerbaijani territories. 1 year after the establishment of South Azerbaijani democratic government, Persian army, with the blessing of Russia and Western powers, occupied South Azerbaijani territories, killing tens of thousands of people. Since 1946, South Azerbaijan is under Persian occupation. Systematic and mass assimilation of Turks to Persian language and culture were implemented after the so-called revolution of 1979 and coming to power of terrorist regime of Persian Iran. Assimilation policies were followed and intensified. Turkish students were taught a foreign language of Persian in the schools. The very existence of Turks in the so-called country of Iran was denied, as everything run by the Persian government, all the schools, offices, hospitals, courts, TV and media, and every official and unofficial business were forcibly done in foreign language of Persian. South Azerbaijani economy is plundered by the Iranian terrorist regime, literally taking away all underground and above ground reaches and leaving a desperate and poor situation for people, pushing the working forces out of South Azerbaijan to look for petty jobs in Persian areas. Over 70% of non-Persian population of so-called Iran is deprived of their basic human rights by Persian terrorist regime, with the exception of Persian language. All other languages are banned and their territories occupied. Non-Persian peoples of so-called Iran, such as Arabs, Baluch, Turkmens, Kurds, Lurs, and South Azerbaijani Turks, are living under constant terror organs of so-called Islamic regime. Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guards, Pastaran, which is a world-known and recognized terrorist organization in the region's tool of plundering non-Persian people's resources and using them in spreading terror around the world. South Azerbaijani Turks, who are in the majority in the so-called Iran, are subjected to severe violations and discriminations. Insulting Turks has become an ugly but accepted norm in the Persian culture and literature. Nowadays, it is difficult to watch TV or read a newspaper in Iran and not to be exposed to insult on Turks, likening Turks to donkey, cockroach, or any other humiliating names. On May 22, 2006, South Azerbaijani people poured to the streets in millions, protesting Iranian official newspaper Iran's recent insults on Turks, calling them cockroaches and demanding basic human rights in their own hands. But terrorist regime response was killing almost 100, injuring over 400, and arresting over 15,000 of innocent and defenseless people. At the present time, over 100 South Azerbaijani rights activists, human rights activists, are under torture in the so-called Islamic Iran. Persian chauvinist and terrorist regime is continuing unlawful, illegal, and random arrests of South Azerbaijani rights activists. We South Azerbaijani Turks hereby protesting Persian occupiers and declare: 1. We strongly condemn illegal arrests, detentions, and inhuman treatment of South Azerbaijani rights activists and demand to bring the culprits, Iranian authorities, to international courts. 2. We condemn Persian-Iranian regime. We demand Persian-Iranian occupying forces to leave South Azerbaijan without any condition. We demand South Azerbaijani affairs to be run by South Azerbaijani people. We believe South Azerbaijani people, as in their thousands of years of history, did, can, and should be in charge of their future with complete self-determination. We believe that a nuclear Persia, Iran, is not only a great threat to the region's peace and stability, but also they will use the power derived from being a nuclear country in more oppression against non-Persian majorities. We condemn Persian, Iranian terrorist regimes' efforts to achieve nuclear weapon. We plead to all freedom-loving democratic governments of the world to sympathize with South Azerbaijani human rights activists by cutting or reducing relations with the terrorist regime and openly condemning the apartheid regime of Islamic dark ages of Iran. We condemn Iranian terrorist regime's interference in affairs of regional countries like Republic of Azerbaijan and Bahrain. We condemn Iranian terrorist regime's military, goods forces, and political support of Syrian dictator Assad in massacring Syrian human rights activists. Also, we condemn Iranian support of terrorists in the world, especially in Iraq and Lebanon and entire Middle East region. We condemn Iranian Persian Shia regime's systematic destruction of Lake Urmu, creating ecological and environmental disaster in South Azerbaijani region.
Haray haray man Turkam!
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 Free human rights activists!
Free human rights activists!
Down with the Iranian terrorist regime!
Down with Iranian terrorist regime!
Save Lake Urmia!
Save Lake Urmia!
Save Lake Urmia!
Save Lake Urmia!
Down with Iranian terrorist regime!
Down with Iranian terrorist regime!
Free women rights activists!
Free human rights activists!
Free South Azerbaijani activists!
Free South Azerbaijani activists!
Free human rights activists!
Free human rights activists!